Welcome to the Coast to Coast podcast brought to you by lineups.com. I'm your host, Nate Weitzer. Going to be flying solo here today. Josh, my man, came down with something real wicked, so he can't even talk on air. So I got 3 picks, though, for both the best bets and the props, though, trying to make up for it with an extra pick here on a huge Thursday. I know he teased that. He said we might even throw in an extra pick here on a 12-game slate. Big Thursday slate as we come off the cup. So let's get right into it here with one of the best bets. We got Atlanta at Charlotte. Trae Young looking likely to be back. LaMelo Ball looking questionable to be back, at least. And that means we got to think it over here. I know Charlotte has been an under machine lately. The Hawks have actually been an over machine. And you worry maybe that Trae coming back could throw a wrench in their offense. But I mean, he is maybe the best organizational point guard in the league in terms of getting things set in the half court. So I am not too worried about him offensively. I would be worried about his defense. And as we know, the defensive rating makes a big shift. So last year, if you combine offensive and defensive rating, games were up plus 13 points per game. Hawks games, that is, when Trae Young played versus when he didn't. And Jalen Johnson has since leveled up, of course, so he can pick up the slack if Trae is under 30 minutes here in terms of his return. The Charlotte D has really been backsliding. Kalkbrenner and company were doing a pretty good job protecting the rim. They are now second worst protecting the rim in their last 10. So really lean towards Atlanta leading the charge here scoring-wise. But if Melo's back, you do like the Hornets offense to just kind of have that fun run-and-gun style. Their pace is up 4 possessions per game with LaMelo. Brandon Miller really ramping up, like him at 20.5 points here. Despite the Hawks being really good defensively, they do allow the primary ball handler and creator to score a lot because they don't give Dyson Daniels any help. And Miller's been doing very well in that primary role. You might look at the last meeting between these teams, one of 4 times in 16 Hawks games that they actually went under. They went 223 with Charlotte. There was no LaMelo and no Brandon Miller in that game. So, and then the rest of the team shot 77 for 33 from 3, just terrible shooting other than Con Knipple, who lit up the Hawks defense. And so that's another point to say if you add more ball handlers, more creators around Con, he's going to get more open shots. He's going to knock more down, and that would certainly help your over. Second pick, we got to talk about it here. Knicks coming off the cup win is definitely a left down spot. Pacers, the market has pushed them down from +6 to +4, and now it's back up 4.5, 5. And maybe you want to take the Pacers on the spread. For me, I want to just target the Knicks defensive letdown, especially if any of these guys don't play who are listed as questionable: Cat, Josh Hart, OG Anunoby, and Mitch Robinson. And I would think Mitch and Cat are not going to go here. OG maybe doesn't go. He played, and Hart legitimately got dinged, but he always seems to play through things. But, is OG going to be able to maintain that insane level of defense he just pulled off in the cup? That obviously took a lot of energy, basically the MVP of the NBA Cup. We could, if those guys all were to sit, we could see a starting lineup of Brunson, Kolek, Mikal Bridges, Yabu, and Huck Porty, I guess. And Mikal Bridges with that game streak, maybe he only just plays a little bit and then doesn't finish this one off. Like, we've seen the cup let down the last couple of years. The Lakers won, the Bucks won, and then they lost a bunch of games. And they were just not as good because of the energy they expended. Massive rest advantage here for the Pacers, who had an offensive dud the last time they were home against Washington, just a true head scratcher to score 89 points against Washington. But even with that, their average is still 114 at home versus 105 on the road. And you'd look at home when they have Benedict Mathurin, which usually means they have a few other guys, including Nembhard, 116 points per game. So clearing this number for sure. Pace is up. Defense is down for the Knicks when they are on the road. Their scoring is generally down too. And I don't know at this point, who's playing for the Knicks, which is why I think it is kind of just a team total type play to just say, well, the Pacers, they're either going to be gunning for this in the kind of rivalry spot, trying to take advantage of those tired legs, or they're going to get a Knicks team that's completely punting, in which case, the spread's going to be eradicated pretty quickly. It's going to be down to like Pacers +2 as people rush to bet them there. All right, we got Sengun and the Houston Rockets at New Orleans, and they're -9.5. I think a good way to get that spread down is to take some Sengun props. 30 plus PA and the Houston money line gets you plus money. You can go 25 plus PA, I think, for a rock solid leg, and then do an adjusted spread. Here, I do think the Rockets will win and score a bunch. You look at their last 5 after a loss, they're averaging 122 a game. That's where their team total's at. This Pelicans defense is abysmal. We don't know if the offense is going to come along for the ride, but Houston has pummeled New Orleans in the paint, 72 paint matchups when they met on 2 nights apart last March. And honestly, the Pelicans' paint defense is worse since then. They are the worst in the league in their last 10 here, allowing the most shots at the rim, allowing the most assists per game, and second most points total, 125 a game. They basically don't play a center. They now are giving Zion minutes and Derek Queen minutes at the same time. Those are, 2 guys who are just not going to have much success guarding Alperen Sengun, who's on a tear in his last 5 here, absolutely piling up stats, clearing this number easily. And the Rockets are just going to be pissed off, man. They after a call cost them that win at Denver, they now have 2 days rest to stew on it. They have not really lost back-to-back games. Since the opening of the season where OKC Detroit, they lost back-to-back. And then, like I said, they clap back big time in terms of the offense. And I just think this man is going to be the one leading the charge. You look at the point differential too, when the Rockets are on extra rest, absolutely stark. Like when they have 2+ days rest, they're like 127 to 109 versus almost the opposite. When they're on a back-to-back, they've only had a couple back-to-backs this year, and that's when they've had their duds. So I definitely trust them on extra rest here, and I trust Sengun in this matchup against a centerless squad. Player props, we got Marcus Smart. First time on the show this year, but it's a good situation. Austin Reeves is out. DeAndre Ayton's also out here. So adding the rebounds, 13 and a half PA, I believe, is where you can get that at. That's probably what we're leaning on here, but he's a pretty solid rebounder, and it's a Jazz team that can be inconsistent offensively, especially if they don't have Lauri Markkanen tonight. You look at some of the other props. Luka's PRA is 55.5 because AR is out. His points are 36.5. It's just insane. But the Jazz are the worst defensive team in the league in their last 8 games. But I think Smart is another guy who's definitely going to benefit from extra playing time, extra opportunity without AR. The first full game without him, he tied Luka in total passes. He had 7 potential assists, got 6 dimes on those, also had 2 secondary assists, and was third on the team in minutes. He's gone 3 without AR this season. He's totaled 34, 11, and 16. In those 3, he has 1 dud in there. It's against Atlanta. It was no LeBron. It was a blowout basically from the second quarter on. So not necessarily a situation you pin on Smart not producing. There's absolutely, I won't talk in absolutes, but at Utah, they're not getting blown out. That's highly unlikely here, especially on extra rest, veteran team. Marcus Smart coming in with energy. And for what it's worth, his numbers were up a little bit without Ayton in 2 opportunities this year in only 23 minutes per game. And now we're talking like a projection of 30 to 33 minutes per game, especially he's going to be guarding young Keontae George and is the key to the Lakers defense, really. So that's an interesting angle there. One fade is Ivica Zubac. I'm looking at a way to fade the Clippers here because they are plus 17.5, and it keeps climbing at OKC. We expect OKC to take out some cupstration, if you will. That sounds kind of weird, but OKC, after getting knocked out of the semifinals, going to be pissed off. That's what the line movement is about. James Harden is out. James Harden is the buddy for Ivica Zubac as far as getting buckets down low. Kawhi's not going to be setting him up on the pick and roll. Chris Dunn's going to be in trouble here. He's got very low props as the head of the offense against a pissed off OKC defense. So who's going to be feeding him the ball to score? He's not going to be getting much on putbacks. OKC is great guarding the pick and roll anyway. They're going to have both Hart and Chet and all these wings crazy flying around. They just limited Victor Wembanyama, for Christ's sake. Zubac not in a good situation. He might have to carry this on rebounds, but how often is OKC going to miss here? And then there's the blowout factor, which makes you feel a lot better about an under, that he might just not be out there. Late third into the fourth quarter, perhaps, if the spread is true. The Clippers did just get blown out at home by Memphis, and they do have the Lakers on Saturday in the big LA matchup. So it could be a punt spot. Zubac has gotten up to play the Lakers a few times. And I think, if he is looking, he's not really a guy who takes nights off, but certainly that's going to be something to look ahead to as far as greener pastures while you're getting your teeth kicked in by a pissed off, amazing team there in OKC. And last player prop, Anthony Black, 20.5 points and assists. Was originally looking at Desmond Bane here. Don't hate it at 22.5 points, but the line on Black is very sharp, 16.5 points. Would think you maybe could get a little benefit there with Jalen Suggs out. But I think he's still going up. in his last 5 with Jalen Suggs playing the entire game. Black and Bane are tied in potential assists per game. So Bane is trying to score a lot more. Black is going to be there creating, attacking the rim. And that's really what's key against Denver, who in the last 10, bottom 5 in points, assists, 3-point percentage allowed, bottom 2 in field goal percentage at the rim, beating only the New Orleans Pelicans, who I mentioned earlier. And Peyton Watson is questionable for this one. So they're going to be missing another key defender. We know Aaron Gordon and Christian Braun have been out in these last 10, and that is a big reason why their defense has been so terrible. It's been bad at the point of attack for a while, to be honest. And Black is a guy who's just going to attack straight up. Most times he catches it on the perimeter, leaving out the rebounds because the Nuggets offense is so good at home. But he does have double-digit points in 10 straight without Franz Wagner. Does Anthony Black, 15 points a game. You remove the 2 cup games, it's up to 16 points a game. So that's where you get the number at 16.5 points. And I think when you have 9.2 potential assists in his last 5, and then you remove Jalen Suggs as another playmaker, you see minutes up, you see opportunities, passes up. Anthony Black should be able to get there. Maybe Desmond Bane gets there as well. Maybe we all get there in a game with a 236 total. But that is all the time we have for you here today in the Thursday NBA Coast to Coast episode. Please like and subscribe. We'll be back with a full slate of action on Friday, and my buddy Josh Lander back on air. But until we see you next, happy betting.